Welcome, welcome, one and all. We are broadcasting you Scrabble live from Albany, New York. It is round 20 of this 22-game marathon event, and we are bringing you it live. This is Chris Lipe and Randy Goldberg in St. Louis, Missouri, broadcasting remotely from the from our living room in the Central West End. The Scrabble is happening at the Best Western in Albany, New York, across the street from the University of Albany. We will have for you round 20 action. We don't know yet which game will be broadcasting, as the pairings have not been decided. Right now, in the Collins division, we have Evans Clinchey in the lead at 15-4 with a cumulative spread of plus 1,487. Hot on his heels, we have Stefan Rao at 14-5 and Adam Logan also at 14-5. Bradley Whitmarsh is still very much in contention for this crown at 13-6 with 3 games to play. In the TWL A division, we have Carl Higbee with a 2-game lead on the field. He is 14-5 after defeating Conrad Bassett-Bouchard. Joey Kraftchick is at 12-7, and several players are tied on 11 wins with 3 games remaining. It looks like one victory for Carl will seal up the TWL division. Lots of Scrabble to come, lots of competition. Anything can happen in this Collins division with so many great players tightly knotted up at the top. We're looking forward to seeing some top quality Scrabble play.
Exciting to see who we're gonna have playing on the stream board. Evans is dancing with the chair. I don't know if that means he's going to be playing for us or he's just putting on a show. It's hard to say.
Yeah, this break, the pairings break on the last day, is always a really nervy time for players, especially if you're in contention near the top. You play a game, and for most of the tournament, you play a game and you have a couple minutes, 5 minutes to decompress, and you go on to the next game. At the last day, each round is paired after all of the games have finished, so there can be a 15-20 minute break, especially if your game finishes early. It could be 20 minutes or more between one game and the next, where you just have to pace around and stew over the result of the previous game, and there's just it's a mental battle that you need to fight to stay focused during that interregnum between rounds. We see Evans on the rack cam now is pacing next to the board. He had just suffered a pretty serious loss to Adam Logan, as the second place player Stefan Rao also lost to Bradley Whitmarsh. Evans maintains his 1-game lead on the field, but that was a very frustrating game for Evans, and we spoke to him briefly after the game, and he expressed some of that frustration, where there really wasn't much he could do in that game to stop Adam. For those of you who were on the stream during the previous game, you'll probably need to refresh the page in order to see the video restart. We paused our stream and then restarted it in order to have separate archive files for future people who are watching this in the future. Right now, we're still waiting on pairings for the next round and still waiting on a decision as to what game we will see in our round 20 broadcast. The standings that you see here are the enhanced scoreboard. These are the same standings that are being displayed in the data lounge at the tournament site. Last night we had a little sneak peek behind the scenes to show our technical setup that is bringing you this broadcast. The technical setup is by WGVC.com. They're providing our IT infrastructure support. WGVC and Vince Castellano, the director of the event. WGVC is a division of Informatrix International. If you can't wait for the future to arrive, WGVC will get you there sooner. And that is certainly the case with respect to this Scrabble tournament. There are many technical advancements that Vince has brought to tournament Scrabble in regards to the infrastructure. He brings his show on the road, drives up from Virginia to Albany, New York, several times a year to put everything together. For this tournament, besides the 3-camera setup he has that allows us to do this broadcast, he also has set up for the players a data lounge, a room outside the main ballroom where the games are being played, where the players can go and see the scoreboards that we are also broadcasting out by the World Wide Web. There is a station where each player has a unique QR code and can scan their scorecard to see what their correct results should be if there is any discrepancy in the cumulative spread that they want to investigate. There are, snacks and water stations in the data lounge, and also this broadcast streaming is streaming in the data lounge for the players to view between their games. It is a really wonderful setup. I've been to many of Vince's tournaments where he's had this, and it makes everything work much more smoothly to have all the standings
absolutely.
and pairings and everything in another area away from where the games are being played, where everyone can congregate and talk and get the data that they need to move on for the next round. We welcome in the chat Jessica, who has completed her daily Pokemon hunting and joined us for the stream. Right now, it looks like the playing room has more or less cleared out as players gather in the data lounge to await their next round pairings. The pairings are now up. We have in the Collins division, you can see on the screen, Evans will be playing Bradley Whitmarsh, and Stefan Rao will be playing Adam Logan. Amongst the first place contenders for the Collins Division crown. In the TWLA division, it appears we do not have pairings yet, as far as I can tell. But I would expect something Carl Higby to be playing Joey Krafchick or Joey Malik, most likely. Maybe one of the other 11 and 8s. Pairings is actually a difficult mathematical challenge, and Vince is one of the directors who takes the time to really think about the pairings and get them right. We had a discussion with Vince yesterday afternoon about the pairing method that he's using for the closing rounds of this event. He has come up with a new algorithm called performance pairings that groups players who are in contention for first as one group, players who are in contention for any place prize as a second group, and then non-contenders, and then pairs them as three separate groups. So we can see that in effect in the Collins division, where Evans, Stefan, Adam, and Brad are all in contention for first, and they will be playing each other for the title. Beyond that, we have Tim Weiss, Jennifer Lee, Jason Keller, Richard Buck, it looks like, are all in contention for 5th place, and they will be playing each other, and as anybody from the top group gets eliminated from contention for first, but is still in contention for any place as low as 5th, they will join the second group, and then the third group is paired amongst themselves in such a way as to minimize repeats. It's taken a lot of trial and error to get these pairings right. It's still, always a topic of discussion among players. Is the tournament being paired correctly? And Vince is one of the good directors, and Kieran O'Connor, the other director of this Albany event, both of them put a lot of thought into their pairings and are definitely not afraid to make any adjustments they see necessary in order to make the pairings more logical and more fair. And as a player myself, I very much appreciate their efforts to get the pairings as correct as they can. We're still waiting on word of what our next game will be. We understand that Stefan Rao has declined to have his games broadcast, and I can't blame him. It's a lot of extra pressure.
Yeah, I'd be pretty nervous about it, especially when you're also under the pressure of trying to play for the tournament. I mean, that adds to it. I'd be a little bit more relaxed if I were out of contention, say, because then there's less on the line in general.
Yeah, like it's hard enough playing in such a way that somebody is watching you, somebody is looking over your shoulder, and then somebody else is watching you and talking about every play you make on the internet to dozens of onlookers, or however many people.
Tens of people
are watching you, and it's going to be archived forever. And if you make a mistake, miss a bingo, that will be that will for all eternity be saved for
Scrabble
humanity
players already
to watch.
tend to really dwell on those misses anyway, without them being forever immortalized on the internets.
So it's entirely understandable that somebody would be nervous about being broadcast. There are some of the players in the field who've been broadcast a lot. Adam Logan, of course, is many-time Canadian champion, world Scrabble champion, U.S. national champion. Like all of these events, the finals get annotated, and so he's had plenty of experience being broadcast, being annotated, having other people watch and comment as you make a play. Evans, likewise, has had plenty of experience being annotated, broadcast, has had lots of games on a big stage. He's cashed at nationals several times. He cashed at the Westpac tournament in Perth, Australia last year. It's 2 years ago now. Oh, it's a new year. And so, he's been in a lot of these high-pressure situations. Stefan has too. He's been annotated. He's done well at nationals and has had some, really great tournament results. But can completely understand, being thrust into a brand new situation unexpectedly. It's no hard feelings and no shame on anybody who declines to take this very medium-sized stage.
Yes, medium. You give it a medium. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's better than I would have guessed.
So we're still awaiting word. We see some players starting to mill about the playing room, waiting for pairings, waiting for games to begin. There might be a few short moments of announcements before we start. Once we get word of what game we'll be broadcasting, we'll let you know. And probably we would get started fairly quickly. The previous game ended quite early. Evans had 8 minutes left on his clock, and Adam had 10 minutes left over at the conclusion of the previous game. So there was nearly 20 minutes before other games would have finished, and then there's a big And then there's, a good 10-15 minute break to pair the round. So we are still waiting.
Jeremy, we've done a great job, I hope, at least not shaming anybody, actually. Maybe Evan's a bit on that whole Stemler thing, but, come on, he deserved that. However, Stefan has remained firm, and I don't really blame him. I would probably be saying the same thing if I were him. So, we'll just have to wait and shame him in other ways at other times instead.
Yeah, I'll wait till I see him in person to give him a ribbing.
Yep.
We have a bit of view into the playing room from the vantage of the rack cams. We see Craig Rowland, an A division player who was near the top of the standings for quite a while. Looks like he's hit a bit of patch of rough luck and has fallen to 9 and 10 in the TWL A division, but it's good to see him out at a tournament. He tends not to play too much out of the Greater Toronto area where he makes his home. And he's a really wonderful guy and a top, really solid player. Craig also travels the world, goes on really fascinating vacations, and has done several write-ups on his blog at Travelogues. He did one several years ago where he did a tour of North Korea, and his write-up of that trip is just fascinating reading for anyone who has some curiosity about what it would be like the experience of being a tourist in such a closed nation as North Korea. It was really, really interesting and fascinating reading from him. See Joey Malik passing by the rack cam, heading to the other end of the room. He is currently sitting third in the TWL division.
Lots of Joeys. TWL appears to be a requirement for doing well in the dictionary. Or at least it certainly helps.
Yeah, there were many Joeys and a Joe at the top of the standings and near the top of the standings in contention.
This is often the case. Occasionally there's a Joel as well.
Yeah.
Switched up there.
Sometimes there's a Joel or two.
Yeah, there could be two. Though there could also be a Joel top of Collins ratings, but not this time.
We see Joey Kravchik is taking a seat at the next board over from the broadcast board. And now he's getting up and walking away. It looks like he was sitting across from Joey Malik. And I don't know if they're playing or if there was some confusion about which Joey was supposed to be at the table. But hopefully they'll sort it all out.
Yes, I think you are the only Jessica. Jess, it's like me, is the only Randy. There was another Randy G in U.S. Scrabble, at least, a fellow who I never had the good fortune to meet. Unfortunately, he passed away shortly after I started playing. His name was also spelled with a Y, of course, but
yeah. Randy Greenspan was a really great player, and yeah, he tragically passed away suddenly a couple years ago. He'd moved down to Florida, lived in Buffalo, New York for a very long time. He's I think he's featured in Word Freak. There's a section where he started, and when he played his first tournament, or he hadn't played a tournament, but he was playing at the club at a top 1700 level and wanted to enter Division I of the Nationals, and he either had to play one tournament to get an initial rating, or he got a special dispensation to just enter into Division I of the Nationals. And this would have been a long time ago in the late 80s, early 90s. And definitely he had the skills to do that. I played him a bunch of times. He was always a top player. There's one tournament I was at, I remember he was known for being a very slow player. And there was one tournament, I think it was in Florida, where I was at, and he he went into this end game, and he, being a slow player, entered the end game with about, a minute on his clock, and it was a complicated end game where he had to anticipate his opponent's moves and block the only out, and force his opponent to make this other move so he could make this play that would score enough to steal the win, and he executed the end game perfectly in like 60 seconds.
Wow, that sounds excellent.
Yeah, it was a pretty amazing thing. To have that accurate play in under time trouble. He was a very very solid player, and he when he left us, it was definitely a loss to the tournament scene.
Looks like we're gonna have an owl game here. We've got Josh Sokol, otherwise known as Lurch. Apparently, he's rather tall and thin and hovers awkwardly, probably really just because of his height. He has no other choice, no other way of hovering. And Benji Schoenbrohm, who we've seen already a couple times on the board.
Yep, Josh and Benji are picking up the tiles.
So not a Joe, but a Josh, so pretty close.
And Josh will be going first. Against Benji, and we will be starting in a moment. So this will be a TWL game for you. Right now in the TWL-A division, we have Benji is sitting in 8th place. He is at 10-9. He is 1 game out of the money. And Josh Sokol is also 10-9. He's separated These two players are separated by 29 spread points. Josh is also 10-9 and is 1 game behind the pace to cash. So this game will could definitely have some money implications in the TWL-A division. We'll keep you updated as we can on the results from both the top of the TWL-A division and the Collins division as they come in, and we hope you enjoy this matchup between Josh Sokol and Ben Schoenbrohm. Josh has drawn tiles, so we have begun. We understand there was a bit of a kerfuffle at the tournament site, and if we have any details on it that we can share, we will share them. We're always a fan of kerfuffles and foo-for-ahs and hubbubs. So Josh opens with has the X to open. The big question, there's not really a big question here. There's no play that doubles the X and doubles the word. So really you have to undouble the E and the D and the X and balance the rack. So Oxide and Doxy are pretty much the only options, and Josh does play Doxy. Which is pretty standard. It's the play.
The points are good. I've heard
the rack balance
and the leave there was pretty solid. Actually, it's nice when your opening play is just kind of that simple. Your highest scoring play is also a nice balancey play. I could easily spend my full 25 minutes on some of my opening racks. I know, so. Donnie Brooks.
Donnybrook. It's a foo-for-all.
I'm confused.
Ben looked for a moment like he was going to try and play Flowsy, which isn't good in TWL. He ends up playing Wiz. Worth noting that Swizz is Collins only, so that hook won't be coming up this game.
Hopefully Benji will not let any of his recent forays into Collins land confuse him at all. I haven't seen it happen yet, but with him. But I know it can happen with people. I have not played Owl since switching to Collins. Partially in fear of exactly that.
And Ben, his rack is actually EFGLNRY, which if it sounds like that's too many tiles, it is definitely far too many tiles. And we're waiting for one of the players to notice. Which
they have.
And they have.
Josh is delightedly selecting from on Benji's rack.
And
so for people who don't know, if you overdraw in a tournament, you mix your tiles together, your opponent has a choice, can take 3 of them, flip them over, and choose which one to throw back in the bag. I once had an opponent who drew to 9 tiles twice during one game. That was interesting. So I turned over 4, threw 3 back.
I think my
threw 2 back rather.
I think overdraws are reasonably common. I think the most common overdraw is when a player plays 6 tiles, plays a 7-letter word through a tile on the board, and then draws 7. Because drawing 7 tiles is something that happens reasonably often, and it sort of happens. You go on autopilot. So that's clearly. In this case, Benji he played 2 and drew 3. My worst overdraw ever. I played 2 tiles and then just went on autopilot and drew 7.
Well, that seems also optimistic.
And I have, I play with one of the long racks. So I start putting the tiles up on my rack, and I'm putting them on one side of the rack, and they're falling off the other side of the rack. And then I look at it, and I'm like, oh no, I have drawn way too many tiles. Had to put all 12 tiles face down. My opponent flipped up 6, just grabbed a handful of them, threw them back in the bag. It was really, really bad. Luckily, this was in a casual game, but yeah, it's bad when you draw.
That's pretty funny.
Far too many.
Do that. I did once have an opponent make a play from a 6-tile rack. It was a game I was just bagging her mercilessly already, and then she made a play, and I realized she put 2 tiles on the board, and she still has 4. If she had wanted to bingo that turn, she couldn't have, but there was nothing to do. There was, that was that. It was what had happened.
Yeah, one of my sometimes you hear stories of directors and what directors calls they get that are amusing in various ways. And John Robertson, who directs, who's a director at the U.S. Nationals every year, he had one director's call one year he talked about. He said he got called over to the table, and the player who was going first had drawn 6 tiles, and their opponent had started the clock. Yes. And they wanted to know, I underdrew, what do I do? And so the director ruled, you should draw another tile.
Yes, that would work. Sadly, my opponent, when I didn't realize until she'd already hit her clock and made her play, so it was a little late for that. She was a director, that's what she said. I didn't know what to do. That felt awkward. I tend to feel bad for my opponents. Things like that happen.
Yeah. So, back in the game, Josh found the star play from his rack and hit Bedouin for the double-double through the O and Doxy. Benji, after his overdraw, was facing a 7-consonant rack. He plays Flyer, which is a pretty reasonable play. And now Josh is faced with a whole bunch of Drek, including the Q, and he ends up exchanging 6, keeping the bear E. In exchange of 5, keeping the EN. Probably would have been the better choice, but he throws back 6, which is not a huge error. We'll see how that works out. And judging from the rack he just drew, it did not. So it's Ben's turn again, and he has made a play instantly. And it looks like his play was fairly straightforward. He makes the star play vainly through the L, keeping AG. The G is not a good tile, but the AG is at least balanced, so he's he's got a good base for the rack he's about to draw. And he has, in fact, drawn some milk and honey onto his rack. It is a very fortuitous choice of tiles for Benji, as long as he can stop drawing now that he has replenished his rack to 7.
That would be a big goal for him.
And now Josh is looking at something, it's a really difficult situation. He does have plays. A lot of his, an exchange is not out of the question here, but he does have plays that he can make that score enough that are worth making.
Mm-hmm.
It's always difficult.
Hard to say.
Yeah,
no good leaves there at all.
Yeah, it's always difficult when you end up when you make an exchange and then draw Drek back. A lot of times, the correct play is to exchange again. Yeah. In this case, it's marginal. I would play this rack, but it's it's difficult. And what's most difficult is it enters your thinking that you specifically want to not exchange twice in a row. But in fact, the 2 turns are independent events.
Yes, it can be really difficult to make that call, but I once at some tournament, I was playing a warm-up game, and I chose not to, and it really backfired against me. In my very first game of the day, I was faced with a situation where I was pretty sure I needed to trade 2 turns in a row, and so because of that warm-up game, I did it. I won that game, and I ended up winning that tournament. It was my first ever win, and I really chalked that all up to those 2 exchanges in a row.
And yeah, the idea that you in exchange becomes less favorable a play because the previous play was an exchange is drawing a linkage between 2 independent plays that doesn't exist. If an exchange is the right play, then you should be able to make each decision on the board without referring back to your own previous play.
Yeah.
Right? Your opponent's previous play is going to come into effect. Mm-hmm. Right? Of
course.
You want to take into account what you can infer, but your previous play should not have any bearing on your next play. You can approach each situation independently. And Josh does a favor by setting up a primo O-column bingo lane for the 7 on Benji's rack, which goes down immediately.
Oh, did Peppercash go into Owl? I have a friend whose cat's name is Peppercash.
Yes.
Actually, that friend, her father, happens to be a formidable Scrabble player himself, Jerry Lerman. That's a weird thing. She doesn't really play, though. I don't believe that she named her cat that because of that.
Yep, there was a bunch of 9-letter and longer words that were added to the TWL just this year. They are not yet available in Collins, since the CSW dictionary is not due to update for probably another couple years. So paprikash is among those that is currently valid only in TWL.
It's a kind of food, right? So it should end up being fun as well.
Yeah,
it's not actually errata.
It's a delicious food. My mom used to make paprikash based on recipes that came from my father's grandparents. My father's grandfather came over from Hungary, and his grandmother was from Poland, and so they had all kinds of Hungarian goulash and chicken paprikash and all kinds of delicious things that that came down through the family. Josh plays off the J, and it's a pretty top scoring spot for the J. It's also a very aggressive play. Obviously setting up this line down the A column, that's going to be, a pretty huge opportunity for Benji, and he seems to have played all of his tiles quickly. Yeah, so Benji plays barraged, and the gambit that Josh started by opening up this O column, he now has a shot at it because, Benji had basically what for Josh would be the worst case scenario. Benji bingo is not an A column. That would have been the worst case scenario, but Benji's bingo gives Josh a shot at that A4 spot.
Yep. And he certainly didn't have a choice. It's not like, playing, I guess he could have gone to the other side, played one of the anagrams, I suppose. But points-wise,
Yeah. Barraged was the play. That's the bingo that fits. Yep. Unfortunately for Josh, he doesn't actually have any consonants that go there, aside from the N. He's dealing with the Q. He can't play...
I was a bit behind.
I
thought we were talking about Gastria.
He's sitting on the Q. He doesn't have... the N is the only thing that goes there, and he does, in fact, take advantage of this opening he created by playing novel. There's no EE in TWL, so he can't play Elevon, which would be drawing the extra tile to the unplayable to the Q is thing, but it's not available here. And Benji, having drawn the blank, now immediately plays another bingo. This is getting uncomfortable for Josh. He's gonna be down by more than 2 bingos after this play hits the board. And let's see what's... It looks like he's played Stuver. Nope, he played Studier. Let's go fix that. So here is our game situation. Benji is completely drawing the bag. He's bingoed 3 turns in a row, and Josh is sitting there with his face in his hands, contemplating the reasons for his existence. He's got his checked scarf on, is looking quite dapper, but his face is in his hands, and he just can't believe this.
This is quite the barrage.
This turn of events. He has been barraged. He is sitting on a U-less Q, which the Q will go down this turn, one way or the other. But however, it's just, oh, the humanity. He is a dirigible going down in flames.
Benji is drawing another hyphen.
Oh, Benji puts his tiles upside down, right ways, wrong ways, all over the place. At least they're all face up, so I can tell you what they are.
Sometimes I like to arrange them all look kind of like little diamonds.
Yeah, Benji has drawn an N, a happy face, a pentanimo, an I, a hyphen, a C, and one of those mathematical symbols that means one of those set theory symbols. It's just all over the place, and who knows what's coming next. Josh drops the Q, which is pretty good. QAT was also an option, but saving the A for his leave seems pretty reasonable.
He dropped the Q where he could score and keep it pretty out of the way. He wouldn't want to put it above the I in studier because he needs all of the spots he can get in order to mount his astonishing comeback.
And Ben immediately plays Djinn up top through the J.
He's been quite the Djinn this game.
Indeed.
And I really looked down for a second, and then I looked back up, and Benji had all of the points and all of the bingos. Whoa, what happened here? This is
So the fates are smiling briefly on Josh. He has a bingo. He's shuffling his tiles in an effort to find it. It looks like a pretty promising rack. And we'll see if he can find it. He actually has a few floating E's that he can use.
I'd expect him to find this. He's trying to make sure he makes the right choice here. This is tough because he needs more than just this one bingo in order to mount his dastardly comeback. So he's got to be prepared. Play this one so it leaves him as likely as possible to bingo again afterwards, as quickly as possible.
Yeah, he's the tides need to turn as if a new satellite had started orbiting the Earth pretty intensely, pretty quickly, in order for Josh to mount a comeback. But playing this bingo will be a great beginning to what could be. He has a bingo through the E, and if he plays it for a top score at M7 here, that was going to open up row 15 for an S hook. It's going to open up some floaters, row 11 and 12, that can be played through. It's going to leave this lane wide open and available. And this is even a possibility to hit something down F column. So, there are, over here in D column. So, the bottom half of the board is pretty dynamic and can fit even, another 2 bingos, maybe even 3 bingos if everything goes right. One small effect of the QI play is that this F is now not a bingo lane. But, if possible, maybe something could play into ON that has a front hook for some desperation bingo space at the top of the board towards the end of the game. And that's about it. There's not a whole lot of places to score non-bingo points. But, if Josh does hit this and then draw S blank and then hits row 15, he could pull within a bingo, and then the pool is good enough. He could then hit a natural like over here or something, and it's difficult for Benji to address all of these things. Probably Benji's best bet after this M column bingo goes down is he's going to want to hopefully play something here if he has the tiles to do it, or maybe here. So that it takes away the nonsense over in this quadrant, and then Josh will have to hit this and then maybe this in order to have a shot at coming back.
It appears that Josh may have missed the bingo.
Yeah, Josh missed operetta.
Yeah.
Which is his bingo, and he plays pot, keeping EART lead.
He
so
kept a great lead for a different bingo. Too bad he missed this one, and here he's down by a lot for the pressure of this magical board here, being streamed, and should be easy to miss that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's It was a long shot for Josh to come back anyway, but this will
help.
this will extend his tale of woe.
Mm-hmm.
His Josh's next rack is his sevens that play and probably eights that also play. Let's see, what did Benji do? He plays child across, which is actually a really canny play.
Yeah.
It restricts a lot of the space.
Scores pretty nicely.
Scores decently, but it's
and it does kind of everything. It looks like really.
Yeah, except the funny thing is that Josh's bingo still fits.
Yes.
Still so fits down here.
But oh well.
So, and that is actually the only bingo. The only bingo he has is at this F9 spot. So that's really it.
For people who are planning ahead for their future, their Scrabble careers for the future, if you're looking at this coming summer's nationals in New Orleans, Jeremy Hildebrand has informed us that he is working on the shirt for this year. He's done the shirts the last few years, and they are always fantastic and reason alone to attend the tournament. Forget the Scrabble, get the shirt.
Yeah, I have shirts from Vegas and from Buffalo.
And I have the one from Fort Wayne.
And Randy has the one from Fort Wayne that Jeremy designed. He's a very talented artist, animator, graphic designer, and he's given his services to Scrabble, and for.
Right, I think if you register before a certain time, it might be free. Otherwise, it's like $10. It's totally worth it. There are so few tournaments that have shirts, period, and so few that are as badass. So really, you should pick one up.
Definitely. No, good. Of course, the Josh playing this bingo is contingent on him being certain of the E-hook on child, which, if you're not. It's a tricky fit. It's a tricky place to fit the bingo.
Yeah.
So we'll see if he finds the bingo and finds the placement of the bingo. But it's not going well for Josh here. I don't know if he's nervous about the streaming, or if he's just kind of on tilt because of Benji's barrage.
Yeah, that mix of things, can just be enough to really throw you off.
It's difficult. It can be difficult. Benji's play of child, I actually really like that play. It opens up this eye as a floater. Yeah. Okay. But it shuts down this.
Restrict 7 lines.
It does severely restrict this. It just so happens that Josh's bingo fits there.
Right, but
and it takes out this. It starts to exhaust the space on the board. Like this starts to be difficult. Difficult space to use. You've got the C column, but not much. After child, you're sort of expecting, absent a bingo, you're expecting some sort of play here at some point in the game, which is going to give back rows 14 and 15. And then, you'll have to figure out how to deal with that separately. You could do something like a play here. A play here will take out C column, and it replaces 14 and 15 with new rows of bingo lanes, and 14 and 15 that are less strong. You could put a wacky letter here that's difficult to start a bingo with. This becomes a weak lane if you end up playing through the eye. So all these things are options. Let's see.
Does it look like he has the bingo?
No.
No?
No, he played Omenta.
Oh. It looks like he played a bingo. Right?
He played... So he found the spot, but did not
find the bingo.
Did not find the 7.
Too bad. And now Benji, meanwhile, is sitting on some fanciness here.
And then Benji plays his bingo pretty immediately.
Yeah. This is just not Josh's game.
It does give Josh 2 opportunities for a triple. Josh has now drawn
Some vowels.
some vowels and
a blank.
And the second blank.
Mm-hmm. Which means that if he does find a triple, it will be a relatively low scoring one.
There's your rack. I think that's.
If there are any 5 vowel 8s there. Hi, Sam.
Yeah, it's difficult for Josh. He actually did miss tone arm because he found the place where tone arm fit, and made a different play. So that's pretty disappointing. And yeah, like we said, it's difficult being on this board. It's difficult being on this board when your opponent has put up 450 and there's still 7 tiles in the bag. And if you're going to miss the bingo, a play like Omenta, opens up a triple. Let's see what happens. And what happens is Trestles goes down. It opens up another triple, and now we have some crazy stuff. And Josh has the blank, but not really the accompanying rack to take advantage. Josh has fished off a couple vowels. And also at the same time opened up a strong lane for a 7 up on row 1. It's an entirely reasonable play.
Yeah. Give himself as many different spots and chances you can have.
And Benji's rack is difficult. He has some good plays, but he's doesn't really have anything that's going to address row 1. He doesn't have anything whiz bang that's going to address the triple here. You got row 1 here. You have this here. What can he do to address all these things? Obviously, probably if there's a play on 15, here, that's going to be your.
So that's what you think you would do?
Yeah, I think you have to look. You have to look at and play something that hits the H15 square to disturb both triples at once.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That is the downside of the placement of these 2 particular triple openings. That they're ideally you'd want to get one open on one side of the board, one on the other, not 2 in the same row that can easily be knocked out together.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it is just how it went for Josh, and I suspect that Benji will be doing something about it soon.
Josh is counting tiles. There are exactly 5 tiles in the bag. What you see on the screen is what is unseen to Benji. And yeah, Benji is known for playing phony 4-letter words, so we don't know what combination of 4 letters might go down.
That's true. He does that AW type thing, but I think he specializes in playing those on Evans in particular. So, I don't imagine we'd see him here, especially not playing Owl.
Yeah, Ben is taking some time. And he's made a play. Ben has 16 and a half minutes, and Josh is under 3 minutes, so the clock is definitely could be a factor here. Ben does make a play that takes that H15 square. Guaco in that spot was probably the star play.
But anything, I think anything taking out both triples seems like a fine.
Yeah, Guaco would have left 1 in the bag instead of 3, but Awa is a perfectly legitimate play, and it accomplishes what it needs to. It answers the mail.
That's good.
So it's Josh on turn, and he will continue his streak by not playing another bingo.
Oh.
which his play of Ho leaves one tile in the bag. It's a disappointing game for Josh. He did completely get steamrolled by Benji in the early going, but made his chances much more difficult with a few crucial misses in the middle of the game. If he had found Operetta when he had it up front, and then drawn the second blank and hit that, and maybe hit a natural bingo out, that was perhaps a path back home for Josh, but it was not to be, and Benji is going to have a very, very solid win here. Playing on an annotated board, especially, I don't know if Josh has been streamed very much in the past. Doing that for the first time, it does get in your head. It's really difficult to stay focused.
Yeah, Sam, he missed moderate and one other.
Moderate, and yet overtame through the T and Omenta.
So, both. That misses. He will probably not be thrilled to have this game immortalized. Benji, however, might not mind it so much.
Yeah, and so it's Benji on turn. He's taking a bit of time with this. He has just under 15 minutes to go, and Josh is a smidge under 2 minutes. With 8 tiles in the bag, including a blank unseen, and the remaining pool, as you can see, is actually quite good. And so...
Yeah, what do you think Benji should do here? Looks like anything up on that top row seems reasonable. What are your thoughts?
Yeah.
Does he have anything there, though, actually? No, I see his actual...
Actually, the remaining tiles is not...
you know what he doesn't have? He doesn't have the Collins 2s, does he?
No.
Oh, well, that limits choices a little bit.
Yeah, he actually can't play GU up top.
I was thinking that...
OU.
Yeah, I was thinking either of those made fine choices, but I guess less so. Well, because, otherwise, Collins, you play Cough or something, that would be beautiful.
Yeah.
That would be a great play.
Yeah, you play Cough and go home. It really restricts your options as to what you can do.
Yeah. I kind of forgot about that.
Another level of strategery to both play offense and defense with all the extra options.
So then in that case, if you without those 2s there, what would you do if you were Benji here?
It's pretty difficult. You're looking at something like just dropping a C or an F, or the G, play Goy. Maybe you could play something like Goon.
Josh has left the table.
Yeah, Josh has left the table and has stormed away. There's...
Oh, he's back.
And he's back. He went to get a
He's just giving up. He's just, it doesn't matter.
He's just hanging out. Benji might block with a play like Goon here. It's gonna, it'll still allow a short play at H1, but it'll block a bingo. He's looking at Ramekin Blank for his unseen pool. Mankier, I think, is Collins only.
Is it? Cool.
So if Mankier is there, it wouldn't go. If the K is in the bag, obviously he has Mangier and all kinds of stuff that fits along row 1. There's probably also stuff that's gonna fit, at 14H, or stuff that might fit through the T or something. So if there's bingos that play on the bottom of the board, they need to be less of a priority. Obviously, the bingo at the top of the board is going to score the most. So if you can prevent that, that'll be best for your spread. Yes, there is one tile in the bag.
We know it's the K. Because we see both their racks, but they probably don't know that.
And
and Josh has blocked our view of Benji with his water cup.
Josh has put his cup of water, and it's not on the board, but it's directly in front of the rack camera, so we can't see Benji's face.
Yes.
It's
Look, this is a sort of a subtle act of defiance here.
And Benji has played Chop down in the corner. One may assume that he's counted the difference in the various bingos that Josh has, and that taking the 40 points for Chop is a good exchange for what is going to be a higher scoring bingo up at 1H.
Yeah, 40 points is seems pretty reasonable.
I wouldn't. Josh has arranged his rack to spell Fireman.
Would he do that just to play FU, even if it?
Yeah. And yeah, it looks like Mangier or something like that is going down, or Marines, and he's down to less than a minute on his clock. Or Mariner, he's played Mariner.
Yep.
To bingo out, finally earning his 50 points for using all 7 of his tiles in the same turn, picking up quite a bit of a lagniappe off of Benji's rack, and the final score is Ben Schonbrunn 512 and Josh Sokol 363 after what is certainly a disappointing game for Josh. Ben picked up 3 bingos in a row in the middle of the game. Josh did not do his account any favors by missing some critical plays later, but honestly, they only would have cut the margin of error.
An update from the other games: Joey Malik has beaten Joey Kravchuk. Is anyone who is not watching the check see? So what does that mean for the Owl standings?
So let's have a look at the TWL standings. We have Joey Malik at 12-8, Joey Kravchuk at 12-8. They are currently sitting second and third. Carl's game against Matt Graham has not yet finished, so we don't know if Carl wins. He will be the champion of the TWL A division. If Carl loses, he will need only one more victory to seal the deal. Joey Malik would need to beat Carl twice on the trot to catch him and win the tournament. Mac Meller has... that was not a fire alarm.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Mac Meller has won his game. He's at 11.5 wins, a half game behind the Joeys, and is in 4th place. Matt Graham is currently playing Carl Higbee, is on 11 wins with a game in progress. In the Collins division, we don't really have any results in yet. We see that Jason Keller has beaten Tim Weiss to move up to 12-8. He's currently sitting 6th place. And that Matthew O'Connor has lost to Sean Abbasi. He's at 10-10 and is going to need to win both of his remaining games to have a shot at cashing in this event. And we don't have any other results from CSW. We might be getting some sort of interview with the players at some point soon. Ben has left the board. Josh is still sitting at the board, pondering the reasons for his existence, and just daydreaming, it appears, about returning to Montreal and getting a giant poutine to indulge his sorrows. After this, a resounding 512 to 363 loss to Ben Schoenbroom on the broadcast board. This loss for Josh will, it appears, it'll make it very difficult, if not impossible, for Josh to cash. Ben is now on 11 wins, at 11-9 after 20 rounds of this tournament, and he looks like he's going to. He has a shot, if he wins out, to finish in the money. We have a result in the Collins division. Stefan Rao has defeated Adam Logan.
Yep.
Stefan is now at 15-5. He is, as it stands, a half game behind Evans, who is 15-4 with his result against Bradley Whitmarsh outstanding. Adam falls to 14-6 and will be at 1 or 2 games off the pace with 2 games to play.
Let's see. We've been voting right now. Misha's still asleep. Mr. Doggy is awake and taking his morning bath, as it were, on the cat tree. I imagine if he gets motivated, he'll come around and add his commentary as well, as he did yesterday.
The cats do give pretty insightful commentary, especially when you're looking at a bunch of vowels and an M. Mm-hmm. They just shout out the play.
Yep. No regard. Oh, he's got it. Well, I'm going to leave you with your awkward silence for
first. Right now, we're trying to ascertain if we're going to get Ben on the Skype phone or might not. There's going to be a bit of a break here before the next round. We're probably looking at least 10 or 15 minutes before the next round begins. We still have games in progress that need to finish. We still need to calculate the pairings for round 21. This is a very vital part of the tournament with only 2 rounds to play, so the pairings are in fact going to be given extra time and extra care to make sure that they are correct. And we are pairing each round as it comes, so we'll have a bunch of time before we can bring you the next game. And Josh is squaring the tiles on the board. And you can see he's producing a special message for our viewers. It's something subliminal he's trying to say. And perhaps our viewers will be able to decipher the message. You've got to feel for Josh. That was a very frustrating game. And yeah, I think he realizes there were some critical misses, and he also got just blasted by all of Ben's bingos early. Yeah, Ben. When they signed the paperwork, Ben left to turn in the result slip, and Josh cleared the tiles from the board, and we should be getting a little chat with Ben in a moment.
Poor Josh.
Poor Josh.
Let's see. What's he doing for us here? Ah, help. Hey, Douglas.
Yeah. We still don't have any further results in the Collins division. Evans is still underway with Brad Whitmarsh. Jennifer Lee is still underway with Richard Buck. Jason Keller won his game. He's now 12-8. He's sitting 6th place for the moment. Tim Weiss is lost his game to Jason, as also 12-8. Richard Buck is still playing Jennifer, and Matthew O'Connor is at 10-10. And it looks like
should be getting a call in from Benji.
All right, and we have Benji on the line, I think. Hello.
Hello, I am here.
All right, 1 second. Let's get your video on the interwebs.
My hair is not very neat right now, but my hair is usually pretty awful anyway, so let's go for it.
All right. And there you are. That was a pretty fortuitous game for you. You had the 3 bingos in a row early, and it was pretty much sealed from there.
Yeah, I don't really like games like that. I've had a lot of them this tournament, especially over the past few days. Like, yesterday, I don't think I had any good games. Like, either me or my opponents played terribly, or both, or it was just a bad game. So, I also, my other game this morning was also a bad game. So I was hoping for some more interesting games today, but I'll take it, obviously.
Yeah.
I could still cash. Like, I'm not gonna do amazing in this tournament, but I'm still playing for something. So
yeah,
I'll take what I can get.
You still stand a perfectly good chance of cashing. And yeah, when unfortunately for Josh, when he had the blank in the latter half of the game, he did have a couple bingos that he missed. But by that game, the result was pretty.
He mentioned one of them. He wasn't sure if unabated or unabided.
Yeah, he had when he played pot, he had operetta. When he played Omenta, he kept an R, had tone arm fit in that spot. So yeah, it looked like he was a bit rattled maybe by playing on the broadcast board and being behind so early, and all of these things. So yeah, after he played Obia, which was a fine play, he had 3 more vowels he could play. He could exchange there, like it was marginal either way. And then you came back with the bingo right away, and then 2 more.
Yeah.
That really, I think got in his head a bit, which is really tough.
Yeah. He was actually really excited about playing on board 1. He was saying he wanted to play the whole tournament.
Oh, really?
Shame we couldn't play a better game.
Yeah, and hopefully, we see him on board one at some point in the future, and he can put together a
Yeah.
better performance.
Yeah.
When your
Thankfully,
first
at
time.
least my other games were pretty interesting.
Yep. Yeah. There weren't really many plays to ask about as far as plays go. All the stuff that you did was pretty straightforward.
It was very standard, just no brainer.
Yeah. At the end, I mean, it was a calculation between taking the points for Chop and blocking spot for Mariner. Because you could have played something like Goon into the ON or dropped a tile in front of the OY, right, to block that bingo lane. But he still probably would have had bingos down at the bottom of the board. So,
Yeah, that's why I figured. Like, I didn't see everything, but I decided. I mean, spread is important. That's why I played Trestle instead of blocking that triple lane.
Yeah. Which, I mean,
That makes sense.
you have the bingo and you have to do it.
Yep.
You're not going to lose the game, and
You happened to Cesar at Nationals.
Yeah.
I forget exactly what word was played, but it was like a 194 point triple, and then he lost.
Yeah, I mean,
I need spread.
Yeah. So, and the spread is, like you say, the spread's going to come into account if you're going to cash. It's going to be a close race for the 5th place spot.
Yeah, or even the 4th place. Yeah, I think you were going to ask me something else. Anything else?
That's about it, I guess. There's 2 rounds to go today, and it's still we're still waiting on Carl Higby's result. If he wins his game, he could be Gibsonized in the TWL-A division. So, but the rest of the placement prizes are still closely fought, and the Collins division is really, really close. Stefan Rao has beaten Adam Logan, so it's going to be really really intense fight for first place there. So
yeah, that tightened up.
Good luck in the rest of your games, and thanks for sharing your game with us on the broadcast. And we'll see you in the future. I'm sure.
Back there, but hopefully I'll be back there sometime in the future.
Yep.
And also online on my own channel.
Yep. Check out the streaming games on Ben's. It's a YouTube channel.
It's a Twitch channel. I also post them on YouTube.
Yep. So he does streaming ISC games with commentary. So
yeah, both players.
Yep.
Guests once but yeah, be sure to check that after watching. I hope you've been enjoying the Albany stream, everyone. And I'll see you next year or in 4th of July.
All right, excellent. So, check that out. And thanks for joining us, Ben. And good luck in the rest of your games.
Thank you.
Yep.
Have a good day.
You too.
I don't know how.
So that's chat with Benji, who wins this game 5-12 to 363. And Josh Sokol has rearranged the tiles to put out a plea for somebody to rescue him from the Matrix. So I think we're going to take a short break here. There's a bit of a lull in the action between rounds while the pairings are being accomplished. So what we're going to do is we're going to end the stream for a couple moments, and we will be back shortly when... we'll be back shortly when we're ready to begin our next round stream. It looks like we have a result in the Evans Clinchy game. He has defeated Brad Whitmarsh by 5 points. So we will pause the stream here and return shortly with coverage of round 21 of 22. I am Chris Leip with Randy Goldberg. We are in St. Louis, Missouri, and we are broadcasting to you the Scrabble tournament, New Year's weekend, a 22-round event in Albany, New York at the Best Western across from the University of Albany campus. And our technical support in IT infrastructure support that allows us to broadcast this to you is provided by WGVC.com. They are a division of Informatrix International. If you can't wait for the future to arrive, WGVC will get you there sooner. We will be back in just a moment. And please stay tuned for the exciting conclusion of this Scrabble tournament from Albany, New York.